The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle by Jim Rohn. Picture this. A man sits peacefully in a small boat on a gorgeous river. The sun warms his skin. A soft breeze plays across the water, and the shore is just within reach. Nothing to worry about. He hooks his bait, tosses out his line, and lets his thoughts drift wherever they want to go. And as his mind wanders, his boat begins to drift too. It starts slowly, almost imperceptibly, the kind of movement you barely register. He's lost in thought about his week, his plans, his life, completely unaware of the gentle current now guiding him downstream. He figures there's plenty of time to worry about serious things later. For now, he's just going to relax and float. Then, without warning, a sound cuts through his daydream, a distant rumble that escalates in mere seconds into a thunderous roar. He snaps to attention and realizes the riverbanks have somehow pulled away. They're racing past him now. His little boat isn't drifting anymore. It's being yanked forward by a force completely beyond his control. And suddenly, the terrifying truth crashes down on him. That thundering sound, the white foam, the swirling mist rising in the distance. He hadn't just launched onto any random river. He's on the Niagara River, and his mindless drift has carried him right to the edge of the falls. He's out of time. This isn't just a story about some guy in a boat. It's about every single one of us. Because each day, in ways we barely notice, we're all drifting. We let our habits, our thoughts, our entire days get carried along by the current of circumstances, never thinking about where it's all heading, until the roar of regret becomes impossible to ignore. But what if you could spot the falls from miles away? What if you understood the currents shaping your life and, instead of drifting, learned to chart your own course? That's the question Jim Rohn, one of the most influential thinkers of our time, spent his life answering. He started out as a farm kid from Idaho, who, by his own account, was flat broke and completely lost at 25. But when he met the right mentor, everything changed. He discovered that success isn't some mysterious secret, it's a formula. He learned that life is like a puzzle, and for most people, the pieces are scattered everywhere, making no sense at all. But here's the thing. There are only 5 major pieces. Once you understand them and how they connect, you can build something extraordinary. By the time he passed away, Jim Rohn had shared this wisdom with millions of people worldwide, from top executives to young people just starting out. His teachings became the blueprint for an entire generation of leaders and high achievers. And that's exactly what I want to give you today. We're going to unpack that puzzle together. By the time we're done, you'll understand the 5 major pieces that, when put together correctly, can help you build any life you can imagine. This isn't about hype or empty motivation. It's about timeless fundamentals for living well. So let's dive in. Let's start with the foundation, the very first piece everything else depends on. Imagine 2 ships leaving the same harbor at the exact same time, headed for the same destination. Along the way, they face identical winds, the same storms, the same challenges from the sea. Yet weeks later, one ship arrives safely at its destination while the other lies wrecked on some distant shore. What made the difference? It wasn't the ocean. It wasn't the weather. It was the set of the sail. In life, the winds of circumstance blow on everyone. Disappointment, heartbreak, opportunity, disaster. These things don't pick and choose based on wealth or education. They're coming for all of us. The real question isn't whether the winds will blow. They absolutely will. The question is, how will you set your sail? And that brings us to the first and most crucial piece of the life puzzle, your philosophy. Your personal philosophy is simply how you think. It's everything you've learned and all the conclusions you've drawn from your experiences. It's the lens through which you see the world, and it quietly shapes every single choice you make, day after day. Think about it. The person who jumps out of bed at 5 in the morning to work on their dreams, and the person who hits snooze until noon, are both following their personal philosophy. Each one is doing what they believe is worthwhile. But those two philosophies lead to completely different destinations. The trouble is, much of what we've absorbed is based on bad information. We pick up faulty ideas from friends, from media, from our own misreading of past events. We form beliefs that actually hold us back. So how do we fix this? How do we build a philosophy that actually serves us? Jim Rohn says it starts with a few simple but powerful daily practices. First, learn from your own experiences. Your past is like a classroom. Every failure, every win, every mistake is a lesson waiting to be learned. The key is looking at your past honestly, without pointing fingers at everyone else. If you messed up, own it. Study it. Let that memory serve you so you don't repeat the mistake. This is why keeping a journal is one of the most transformative habits you can develop. Writing down your thoughts, experiences, and feelings helps you see your life more clearly. It lets you extract the lessons so your past becomes your teacher, not your tormentor. Second, learn from other people's experiences. There are two types of people worth studying, the successful and the failures. We should absolutely study successful people, read their books, listen to their stories, absorb their habits and mindsets. Success leaves clues everywhere. But just as important, we need to study failure. Learn what not to do. The person who ignores history's lessons is doomed to repeat them. Life's too short to make every mistake yourself. And the easiest way to tap into the minds of history's greatest thinkers? Read books. Lots of them. Rohn asks a sharp question. With all the books in the world that could transform your life, your bank account, your relationships, and your health, how many have you read in the last 90 days? He points out there's almost no difference between someone who can't read and someone who won't read. Both end up ignorant. If you think a book is too expensive, he warns, just wait until you get the bill for not reading it. Wait until you pay the price for staying ignorant. A little reading each day adds up to massive knowledge over time. This brings us to one of the most important ideas in the entire book, the formula that governs both success and failure. The formula for failure is a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. That's it. You don't fail overnight. Failure comes from a slow accumulation of small, seemingly harmless bad choices. Eating junk food, skipping the books, spending a bit too much, not having that difficult conversation. On any given day, these things seem insignificant. Nothing terrible happens immediately. And because there are no instant consequences, we repeat the error again and again. That's what makes failure so dangerous. It's subtle. But here's the hopeful part. The formula for success is equally simple. The formula for success is a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. That's the secret. Reading 10 pages of a good book daily. Eating healthy. Saving a small slice of your paycheck. Making that phone call you've been avoiding. These things are easy to do. But here's the catch. They're also easy not to do. The main reason most people don't get what they want comes down to one word: neglect. They simply neglect to do the small, constructive things consistently. And that neglect, like a tiny infection, spreads until it poisons their entire system. Your personal philosophy, then, helps you spot those errors in judgment and gives you the wisdom to choose those simple disciplines instead. It's how you set your sail. But even with a perfectly set sail, a ship goes nowhere without power, without driving force. Which brings us to the second major piece of the life puzzle, your attitude. If philosophy is what you know, attitude is how you feel about what you know. And our feelings, our emotions, are the powerful forces driving our daily actions. With the right attitude, people can move mountains. With the wrong attitude, they crumble under the weight of a pebble. Jim Rohn breaks attitude down into 3 key areas. First is your attitude about the past. As we've discussed, the past should be your school, not your weapon. You can't keep beating yourself up over old mistakes. You can't change what happened. You must accept it, learn from it, then close that door so you can fully embrace right now. If you're constantly staring in the rearview mirror, you're going to crash. Second is your attitude about the present. Today is where your better future begins. Each day gives you the same 400 seconds it gives everyone else. Time plays no favorites. Today is your moment to start changing. It doesn't care about yesterday's failures. It simply offers you a fresh start and asks, "What are you going to do with me?" And third, perhaps most powerful, is your attitude about the future. Your attitude about tomorrow depends on your ability to envision it, not in some mystical sense, but through imagination. Rohn teaches something profound. All things must be finished before they can be started. Let that sink in. The house you're sitting in was complete in an architect's mind before anyone picked up a hammer. The car you drive was a finished design on a computer screen before the first piece of metal was shaped. The same applies to your life. You must design your future first. Start with a clear, vivid picture of the person you want to become and the life you want to live. The clearer that future vision becomes, the more it starts pulling you toward it. Your vision of tomorrow becomes incredible fuel for today. It gets you out of bed in the morning. It pushes you through tough times. When the promise of the future is crystal clear, the price you pay today becomes easier to accept. Your dreams inspire you to become exactly who you need to be to achieve them. So your attitude gets shaped by how you view your past, present, and future. But it's also profoundly influenced by something else: who you hang around with. The people you spend time with massively shape what you know and how you feel. Rohn urges us to ask 3 honest questions about our inner circle. 1. Who am I around? Take a real look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they lifting you higher or dragging you down? Are they growing, reading, staying positive? Or are they cynical, complaining, and stuck? 2. What effect are they having on me? Where are they leading you? How are they influencing the way you talk, think, and feel? Most importantly, what kind of person are they helping you become? 3. Is that okay with me? Influence is sneaky. It's like a gentle nudge. You'd never let someone deliberately push you off course. But a friend can subtly nudge you with a negative comment here or a bad habit there, until one day you wake up thinking, "Wait, how did I end up here? This isn't where I wanted to be." That's why protecting your attitude is essential. Sometimes this means you need to distance yourself from toxic people. Other times it means limited association. You can handle a few minutes with certain people, but not a few hours. A few hours with others, but not a few days. You control the dial. And finally, you must actively seek out expanded association. Find people who inspire you, challenge you, and educate you. Spend more time with the 20% of people who are creating 80% of the positive results and feelings in your life. Your attitude ultimately is a choice. Nobody can make you angry. Nobody can make you feel worthless. You give away control of your feelings. When you accept total responsibility for your attitude, you reclaim the power to shape your emotional world. So now you've got the first two pieces. A solid philosophy as your foundation, and a positive attitude as your emotional fuel. You've set your sail and filled it with optimistic energy, but a ship still needs to move, to act, to make the journey. This brings us to the third piece of the puzzle. Activity. Rohn shares an ancient story, the parable of the talents. A master gives 3 servants different amounts of money, or talents, to manage while he's away. The first 2 servants invest their money and double it. The third, scared of losing what he was given, buries his 1 talent in the ground. When the master returns, he praises the first 2 servants, but to the third, he says, "Take his 1 talent and give it to the one who has 10. The lesson isn't that life is unfair. The lesson is that life rewards action. It's our job to do something with whatever we've been given, whether it's 1 talent or 100. Knowledge and good feelings aren't enough. Eventually, you have to convert them into disciplined action. This is often the missing ingredient for so many good, hard-working people. They've got education and a decent outlook, but their lives feel stuck. Why? Rohn gives a startling answer. It's because they're not pursuing their goals with the same intensity as people who might be less virtuous but are more driven. He says the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. It's the lack of intense, disciplined activity that allows failure and mediocrity to take over. Your dreams, no matter how inspiring, must be channeled into action. Like the mighty Niagara Falls, all that power is useless until it's directed and harnessed. Talking about success isn't the same as achieving it. Wishing for a better life isn't a plan. This is where Rohn introduces another famous concept, the choice between 2 pains. He says we all suffer from one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. We need to embrace the small daily ache of doing the work now to avoid the crushing weight of looking back on wasted potential. Of course, this doesn't mean work yourself to death. Life requires balance. Rohn points to the biblical principle of 6 days of work and 1 day of rest. He cautions that rest should be a necessity, not an objective. It's a pause to recharge for your next push toward your goals. The cost of too much rest is mediocrity. But activity alone isn't enough. It needs to be smart activity, planned, refined, and consistently executed. This is where goals come in. You need well-defined, written goals for your future. Long-range goals act as your destination, the magnificent obsession pulling you forward. Short-term goals are the checkpoints keeping you on track. And where does this journey of disciplined steps begin? With your I should have list. We all have one. I should have written that letter. I should have started exercising. I should have told them I love them. Pick one thing from that list and do it. Today. The satisfaction and self-worth from completing that one small task will start something magical. It'll build the first step on a ladder, leading you out of neglect. With a solid philosophy guiding you, a positive attitude energizing you, and a plan of daily disciplined activity moving you forward, you're now creating the 4th piece of the puzzle, results. Results are the harvest. They're the predictable outcome of your past efforts. Like a farmer, you can't expect a great harvest in fall if you only planted a few seeds in spring and ignored the weeds all summer. Results aren't about need or want. They're about deserving. They're the reward for planning ahead and putting in the work. Checking your results regularly is like checking your compass on a long journey. It tells you if you're still on course. If you're only going to the corner store, being off by a few degrees doesn't matter. But if your destination is far away, Being off by even 1 degree can leave you miles from where you meant to be. So how do you measure results? Rohn says there are 2 ways. First is by looking at what you have, your tangible stuff, your home, your savings, your investments. These are measuring sticks for your material progress. If, after years of work, your list of assets is thin, that's a signal something needs to change. Not a reason to despair, but feedback to adjust your philosophy, attitude, or activity. But there's a second, far more important way to measure results: by looking at who you've become. Are you a person of integrity? Are you a good parent? A loyal friend? A respected coworker? Are you kind? Are you wise? Are you happy with who you see in the mirror? This is the real measure of a life well lived. And this leads to what might be the single most important principle in all of Jim Rohn's teaching. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Read that again. You don't chase success. You don't hunt down happiness and wealth. You attract them by becoming a more valuable person. Your outer world mirrors your inner world. The results in your life directly reflect the person you've become. This is why the heart of personal development isn't working on your job. It's working on yourself. If you want to have more, you must first become more. If you lost everything tomorrow but kept the person you became to earn it, you'd attract it all back again. Because the same knowledge, attitude, and skills always produce the same results. The sobering truth is that unless you change, your results won't change. But the exciting news is that any day you choose, you can start becoming more, and as you do, you'll naturally attract more into your life. When you bring all 4 pieces together, your philosophy, your attitude, your activity, and your results, they create the final picture, the 5th piece of the puzzle, your lifestyle. Lifestyle, Rohn teaches, isn't an amount, it's an art. It's the art of living well, of finding joy and richness, not just after you've made it, but during the journey itself. Many people have learned to earn well, but they haven't learned to live well. They postpone happiness, waiting until they're wealthy. They miss the truth that happiness is part of what creates wealth, not just what wealth creates. You don't have to be rich to live richly. Lifestyle isn't about buying expensive things. It's about creating priceless experiences. Anyone can watch a sunset. A single rose, given with genuine care, can mean more than a dozen fancy orchids. The joy of watching your kid learn to ride a beat-up bicycle is just as real as watching them on a brand new one. Sophistication isn't about spending tons of money. It's about spending a little thought. Rohn gives a great example about tipping at a restaurant. The word tip originally meant to ensure promptness. The sophisticated person tips before the meal, not after, pulling the server aside and saying, "My guests are really special to me tonight. This is for you," to make sure they have an amazing experience. That small, thoughtful gesture transforms an ordinary dinner into something memorable. That's lifestyle. But perhaps the biggest key to mastering lifestyle is this: wherever you are, be there. So many of us live distracted. When we're home, we're thinking about work. When we're at work, we're worrying about home. We're so absorbed in yesterday and tomorrow that we never notice today slipping away. We go through the day, but we don't get anything from the day. To live a rich life, you must learn to be present, to truly listen when someone speaks, to savor a meal, to feel the sun's warmth, to let life touch you, not just the joys but the sorrows too. Emotions enrich our lives. Lifestyle is learning to capture each moment and draw from it all the meaning and experience it offers. And so the 5 pieces come together. Your philosophy sets your course. Your attitude provides the power, your activity creates the motion, your results give you feedback, and your lifestyle is the art of enjoying the journey. But Rohn offers one final, crucial warning. There's a glue holding all these pieces together, and without it, the entire puzzle can fall apart. It's a sense of urgency. The greatest danger for most of us isn't desperation, it's comfort. We've got a roof overhead, food to eat, a car to drive, our basic needs are covered. And so we drift into the dangerous comfort zone. We lack the burning desire to push for more. We tell ourselves there's always tomorrow. The problem with waiting for tomorrow is that when it arrives, it's called today. And we waste today just like we wasted yesterday. The clock is ticking for all of us. Time is the great equalizer. It doesn't care about our excuses or good intentions. It just passes. The game of life isn't a practice session. It's happening right now. You can't wait for the 2-minute warning to start playing with intensity. You must develop urgency now. You must see the future consequences of your current neglect and use that vision to drive you into action today. Because in the end, your life will be the sum of one of two things: either the few errors in judgment, repeated daily, that led to regret, or the few simple disciplines, practiced daily, that led to fortune, happiness, and wonder. The choice is yours. Looking back at Jim Rohn's The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, what hits me hardest is its beautiful simplicity. In a world constantly screaming at us with new fads, complicated strategies, and get-rich-quick schemes, Rohn's message is refreshingly fundamental. It's a calm, steady voice reminding us that the principles for living well haven't really changed in thousands of years. They're timeless because they're true. This book isn't about learning some secret trick. It's about becoming a certain kind of person. It's about understanding that your life isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you design. And the tools for that design aren't outside you. They're your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your choices. For me, the most powerful idea is that success is something you attract by becoming the right person. This completely shifts your focus from chasing to becoming. Instead of asking, "What do I need to get?" it makes you ask, "Who do I need to be?" That one perspective shift changes everything. It means your circumstances aren't your prison. They're your feedback. They're telling you about who you currently are. If you want different circumstances, you need to become a different person, and that's a power nobody can ever take from you. This message matters more today than ever. We're living in the age of distraction. The forces pulling us toward neglect are stronger and more tempting than at any point in history. It's easier than ever to choose entertainment over education, to drift through days scrolling screens, to let those subtle errors in judgment pile up into an avalanche. Rohn's work is an anchor in this storm. It calls us back to the simple disciplines: reading books, keeping journals, choosing our friends wisely, and practicing our craft with intensity. So how can you start applying these ideas right now, today? Here are a few simple practical steps. First, do a 90-day audit. Ask yourself Rohn's classic question: in the last 90 days, how many books have I read? Be brutally honest. Add to that, how many new skills have I started learning? How much of my income have I saved? Let your answers guide you. Don't judge yourself harshly. Just use the information to make better choices for the next 90 days. Maybe that means picking one book to read, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. Second, start a journal. Nothing fancy needed. A simple notebook works perfectly. For the next 7 days, spend just 5 minutes at day's end writing down one idea you encountered, one experience that taught you something, or one emotion you felt strongly. The act of capturing your life on paper will start changing how you see it. And third, review your associations. Identify one person in your life who consistently inspires, educates, or lifts you up. Make a deliberate effort to spend 30 more minutes with them this week, whether that's a phone call, coffee, or a walk. Then identify one influence that consistently drains you or fills you with negativity. Find a way to lovingly create a bit more distance. Protect your emotional and mental garden. We've covered the heart of Jim Rohn's masterpiece today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It can show you the layout, the major landmarks, the roads connecting them, but it can never replace actually walking that terrain yourself, breathing the air, meeting the people. The real magic happens in those quiet moments when a particular story or simple phrase from the book hits you in a way you didn't expect. If anything we've talked about resonated with you, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can truly change how you see yourself and the puzzle of your own life. If you found this summary helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps us reach more people looking to grow, and it makes sure you won't miss our next dive into another life-changing book. Let's keep putting the pieces together, one day at a time.